Hello my friends, David Kessler here and welcome back to the studio. Today I want to do a watercolor demonstration. It's a fast and loose, typically what I do, wet into wet painting. It's going to be abstract painting, but it's going to have a little bit of a landscape feel to it. Right? So really super simple, super easy. So if you want to get your painting stuff together and join me, and paint along with me, you can pause the video, get your stuff together, and then join me at the palette in just a minute, okay? Okay, everyone, I hope you have your stuff ready to paint with me. It's going to be another kind of a quick landscape inspired painting. Let's go over the colors first. My color plan is to use an analogous color scheme, which is red, violet, red, orange, and orange. That's the basic sort of concept. And I may throw a little bit of a regular violet in there. So I may have 5 colors adjacent to each other. We'll sort of see how that goes. All right, as we progress through the painting. Okay, so I'm going to start the way I usually start, which is to completely and thoroughly wet my paper back and front. Now, just a couple of things. I'm using what's called a plastic core board here, which is a simple board, lightweight. So you can see it's constructed like corrugated cardboard, only it's made of plastic. And I've got the board tilted a little bit with some paper towels under it. I'm using Fabriano Artistico paper, right? 300 pound rough press. The surface is the same as cold press, it's just a rougher surface. So I just like the texture of it. So the first thing I'm going to do is thoroughly wet the back of the paper. And I do this because I want to work on damp paper. Not damn paper, damp paper. Not wet paper, not dry paper, damp paper. And that helps my watercolor to sort of mingle together as I paint. Okay? It kind of helps to eliminate backgrounds and stuff. So I'm putting more paper, more water down, and then I'm putting this down on top of that water. I'm going to wet the front, and you'll notice that the paper is stuck to the board. Right? So I don't need clips or tape or anything. The paper is completely adhered to the board, plastic board. All right. There we go. Now, once that's done, I'm going to take a damp sponge. I'm going to get all this excess water off around the edges. And then I'm going to squeegee some of this water out of the paper so that I don't have a lot of wet surface. The water's in the paper, but not necessarily much on the surface. So I'm squeegeeing some of that water out. Right, now the paper's damp. It's not wet. It's not wet, not completely wet on the surface, but the inner fiber of the paint, the paper rather, is wet. All right, I'm going to start with some loose, really loose color. I'm using a 2-inch nylon brush. Okay. I'm going to use a little bit of transparent pyrrole orange. By the way, all the paint that I'm using is Core watercolor paint made by Golden. We're going to have a kind of almost of a circular movement. All right, this is quinacridone red. I just want to put some color out on the page right now, and I'm not too concerned about what goes where right off the top. I'm mixing a little dioxazine purple, a little bit of quinacridone violet, just trying to get a beautiful variety of color in here right off the top. It's going to be kind of a landscape, like I said. So start making a couple little landscape shapes here. All right. That's really, to be honest, about all I want to do right now. Maybe I'll scumble in a little bit of really pale color there. So we've got a nice, fresh, beautiful variety of color. I actually may come in here with a little bit more dioxazine, just to kind of harden this area up a little bit. Okay. All right, so that's going to be our first wash. All right, that's our first wash. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to dry the surface just a little bit with a hair dryer, just so I can come back on top of this with some harder, since we don't have time for me to sit here and let it dry. I'm going to take a break, do a little hair dryer just to get the surface water off the top, not to dry the paper, just to get the surface water off, and then I'll be back. Okay, we're back. Now, what I'm going to try to do now is mix a little bit more pigment and a little bit less water to start to get, you know, some more defined shapes on top of what we've already put down. So I'm going to go back in with some violet. I'm just, you know, kind of mixing up a little bit of a red violet in here, which hopefully it'll be red violet. Come in here and redefine some of these shapes, right? Okay. Just redefining shapes. If I think that edge is too hard, let's come here and soften that edge a little bit. Now the surface is a little more damp than I thought it was going to be. It's probably all right. Okay. All right. And I cleaned my palette a bit while you were gone too. Remember, just trying to redefine some shapes. Punch up the color a bit. This is transparent pyrrole orange, which is amazing. I'm going to add to that a little bit of quinacridone red. Wow. Crazy color. Smooth these edges out a bit. Quinacridone violet. Remember, just thinking about my shapes, really just trying to make some interesting shapes along with this, you know, a curvilinear sort of a theme that I've got established here. Okay. moisture there. Okay. Adding a little pyro red light in here, just for fun. Just using a scraping tool to do a little scraping, just because there again it's fun. And why not, right? Okay. It's a little too wet yet. Get a little bit of ultramarine pink in here. I'll scumble some of this across this corner here. A little bit of dry brush work. I'm going to get a little cad orange, which is opaque, an opaque orange, semi-opaque anyway. Put a little bit of thicker paint in here. And take it straight out of the palette. To it. And to be honest, I think that's just about going to do it. I don't want to overwork or overdo. It gives you this idea that, hey, you know, it's got some curved shapes, it's got some white area, maybe this is a ground plane, maybe it's snow, maybe it's, I don't know what. And some curved areas, that kind of a center of interest area in here, kind of secondarily over here with these dark values. I got a little bit of scraping in there. Once it dries a little bit more, I'll probably put a little bit more in there just for some other effects. And I'll probably sign over here. And that's going to be really about it. I think I met my color goals. It's still loose and fresh. It's, you know, you really don't know what it is because it really isn't anything but shapes and colors. And that's the way I like it. And that's going to be it. Easy as that. Now see how easy that was? I told you these demos I'm doing are really easy. That's why I want you to get your stuff and paint along if you have time to do that. They don't have to be complicated when you're doing watercolor. That's the greatest thing about it. You can do something quickly. You know, you don't get paint all over you. You don't make a mess in your studio. You can do an easy, quick painting in 20 minutes, 30 minutes without expending yourself and not having to get really messy and make a huge mess anywhere. So if you want to see more of these watercolor demonstrations, please let me know in the comments so that I'll know what to provide for you. And I hope it was helpful for you. Join me for a workshop sometime. The list is on my website and there's a link below for that. So, I'm all over the place. Join me for a workshop. Sometimes I'll do watercolor demos in there if we have enough watercolor painters. And I hope to see you at one of those, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks.